Okay, I call Seneca Falls Town Board meeting in session. Will the clerk please take roll call?
Supervisor Schmitter,
Here.
Councilman Seneca.
Yeah, I'm here.
Councilman Pilara,
Here.
Councilwoman Dyson. Here. Councilwoman Miskowski. Here.
Okay, please stand and pledge allegiance to a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please have a seat. Okay, before we do presentations, I just got a couple quick comments here. One is, okay, for the union. Okay, just to set the record straight, the town does not oppose a request to form a CSA bargaining unit of employees. In fact, the town and CSA have jointly agreed on all positions that should be included in the bargaining unit and those that should not be, with the exception of a single job title, zoning and code enforcement. The town stance is that this position is managerial in nature and should not be part of the CSA proposed unit. CSA EA thinks otherwise. The insistence of CSA EA that one of the town's managers must be in a bargaining unit of rank and file employees is the only reason why this unit has not been formally approved. The State of New York Public Employee Relations Board has set a telephone conference to discuss this and other issues raised by CSEA on January 7, 2025. There will be no further comments on this matter at this time by the town. And then also on the union, in reference to the landfill permit, there will be no permit issued for 2024. We have scheduled a special meeting on January 21st at 6 o'clock at the Seneca Falls Rec Center. At that point, we'll be discussing the 2025 permit and other factors of that. The reason we couldn't do it here tonight is exactly what you see. This room's only so big, and we knew that would not work out. So we have to have a special meeting on January 21st. Sorry for the inconvenience it caused people, but we had no notice until same as everyone got the flyers in the mail. So at this point, I will open up presentations. I have two. One Waterloo container. Would you like to speak? I have to hold it down, Rich. What for a second?
Is it on?
Sounds like it.
Okay.
Just say your name for the record.
Rich Swinehart from Waterloo, with Waterloo Container. First of all, I want to thank the supervisor and members of the board for allowing me to come in tonight to say a few words. At the last board meeting, Councilman Seneca offered some advice to Waterloo Container. I've known Mr. Seneca for a long time. I know his advice was both sincere and I know it was well-intentioned. What Mr. Seneca didn't know is that during the past 18 to 24 months, Waterloo Container has either met with or hosted over 40 elected and appointed officials from the region. That includes officials at the town level, village level, county level, New York State Assembly, New York State Senate, the federal level, and we have met with the former DEC Commissioner, Sagos. We've also met with the current interim DEC Commissioner. We have also met with the Cayuga Nation to discuss environmental and economic issues, because SMI is an employer locally, but they also affect the entire region with the nature of their business. And that's why we've taken your advice. You didn't know we were giving us advice at the time. And it was good advice, and that's what we've been working on for a long time. Quite honestly, as far as this board is concerned, SMI is a local matter. There is a local law that's currently being litigated. There's also a town code, the zoning code. There are many issues that are local, including an operating permit from the town. So there are very few that really have a say in what happens to the future of Seneca Meadows, other than New York State and the town of Seneca Falls. Having said that, at the last meeting, it was mentioned that Waterloo Container coming in here on a monthly basis is old news. I suggest that if you were in our position, at our location, where almost daily we have to put up with the emissions from that landfill, you wouldn't say it was old news, you would say it was bad news. And it is bad news. It's bad news for us, it's bad news for the environment. Quite honestly, we have been now, for quite a while, paying a company to do air testing, and we will be providing evidence in the very near future that when you can smell the air, and sometimes you can almost see it, it isn't just all healthy stuff that you breathe. And we will be presenting evidence that the H2S levels are above what's recommended. It's also a reason we believe that many of our employees are nauseous, have headaches, go home sick. And as employers, and rather large, significant employers in this town, having our labor force become ill is tying our hands. We have an obligation to provide a safe working environment. Everybody here has an obligation to keep everybody else safe. And to just suggest that the air is okay is putting your head in the sand. And we're going to prove that it's not. Having said that, I believe quite a while ago, this board recognized that the current odor complaint system wasn't really effective. And this board came up with a variation of it where people would call in, they would sign and fill out affidavits to their observations. Those would be delivered to the town, and then they would be taken to an appropriate court. My issue with that is that one of the courts was the town of Varick, and they have recently issued their decision. And they dismissed all of those affidavits that were in front of them. And they did it because that was the right thing to do, because this town failed to prosecute. Nobody from this town showed up to the court hearings. Nobody answered the papers that SMI put in. And quite honestly, if I'm SMI, I didn't have a chance to do discovery, because this town did nothing. You failed to prosecute. So everyone who took the time to call in to fill out an affidavit never got their day in court. Yet I suggest to you that if you look at the town zoning code, and in your front lawn, if you're a resident here, you have a mattress in your lawn, you're going to get a letter from the town saying, hey, you can't have that there. Or if you have other trash in your lawn, you're going to get a letter saying you can't have that there. And the letter is going to suggest that you remove it as soon as possible, or there's going to be repercussions. Eventually, the repercussions could end up in court. However, I also, and this is my belief, that the town is currently negotiating with SMI for either a new memorandum of understanding, or to amend the current one, or for a new host agreement. And one of the major issues is, what is SMI's financial obligation to the town? Because they do have an impact on the town. Yet, there was a fail to prosecute. The impression that people are left with is if you have the big bucks, the rules don't apply to you. You don't have to follow them. That's a terrible impression to leave.
Thank you, Rich. Heather Benetti?
Good evening. Heather Benetti, Seneca Falls. Need more information than that? I too come each month, so I'm sure you're getting tired of me as much as Waterloo Container, but it is what it is. Good evening, members of the board and fellow residents. This December, Seneca Falls will once again come alive with the magic of It's a Wonderful Life as we celebrate the 78th anniversary of this timeless story, over 6,000 runners from 32 different states will join in on It's a Wonderful Run on December 14th. And thousands of more visitors will explore our beloved town. From the charm of the Bailey House to the iconic Steel Truss Bridge, Seneca Falls is admired not just for its architecture, but for the spirit it embodies, the spirit of hope, a community of resilience. However, no one travels to the most memorable movie town in America expecting to encounter the stench of the landfill. Frank Capra's vision of a small town, vibrant, didn't include a mountain of waste, overshadowing its beauty and threatening its future. Seneca Meadows landfill has distracted from our charm, burdened our environment, and undermined our legacy. Who will return to relive in the joy of It's a Wonderful Life when the air itself drives them away? The negative effects on this landfill go beyond its odor. It poses long-term risk to our environment, our health, and the very essence of what makes Seneca Falls special. To allow an expansion would be to jeopardize not only our town's present, but also the future we leave for generations to come. I urge you to vote no on the landfill expansion. Let us preserve the spirit of It's a Wonderful Life, a spirit rooted in this community, and a belief in better tomorrows. Together, we can ensure that Seneca Falls remains a beacon of inspiration for all who visit and call it home. On a side note, with all due respect, we canceled this SMI back in September, so saying that you didn't realize we would have this huge amount to me is a little disappointing. I could have called it back in September that we should have relocated, but again, it's postponed, and to each their own opinion, but I have my own. So thank you, happy holidays, enjoy It's a Wonderful Life.
Before we go on with the privilege of the floor, I will let the public know that we did receive 58 combination of letters and emails about the landfill. I'm not going to sit here and read 58 letters, but I will tell you that 53 were negative and 5 were positive. So, okay, I will now open privilege to the floor.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Greg Lazaro. I appreciate this opportunity to comment, and I want to thank each of you for the work you do for Seneca Falls and wish you a joyous and peaceful holiday season. First, I want to thank Supervisor Schmidt for scheduling a dedicated meeting on Seneca Meadows and their permit request. Based on the Deputy Supervisor's comments at the November meeting, I would like to request that the board invite State Senator Thomas O'Mara, State Assemblyman Jeff Gallahan, and a representative of the DEC to this meeting to enter into a conversation regarding this issue. Second, on another issue, the union, I would like to ask the board to certify the CSEA union to represent the employees as they resolve to do so in August. This is a win-win-win proposal, a win for our elected officials, a win for the employees of Seneca Falls, and a win for the citizens of Seneca Falls. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Greg. Yes, sir.
Can I speak?
Yes, please.
Can I speak from here? Would you rather up there?
I'd rather have you up here so everybody can hear you. Please state your name and address when you get up there.
Well, thanks for letting me speak, and again, I
You need
appreciate
your name, sir, first.
I'm sorry, Peter DeBeebe.
Okay.
Thank you for letting me speak and for what job you guys are doing. I know you're fighting this battle, and I don't understand a lot about what it takes to be in your position. But I'd like to speak from my position. So we're a small manufacturer. We're located on River Road, been there since 1973. We started a new business about 12 years ago, manufacturing an oak product for the wine, beer, and beverage industry in the Finger Lakes, and now nationwide. In that process, we season our oak outside. It has to be there for 3 years. And it's just by luck or perchance or blessings, but I harvested and seasoned enough wood for 10 years, 13 years ago. Well, it's that time again. And my concern is this wood being outside and knowing what my nose smells outside, what's it going to pick up? If indeed my fears are real, what do? Do I close my business? Do I stop producing what we worked so hard to build? I don't have an answer for that. But I have a genuine concern. And now I'm trying to rationalize how 50% of the beverage industry here uses our product. What would happen if something did get into that wood being seasoned outside for those 3 years, and it got into what you or yourselves enjoy in your time out? What's it going to taste like? What's going to happen to our business? So, do I just tuck my tail and move my curing process to another location? My fear? Is that what this country is built on? Our blood, sweat, and tears? Starting from scratch, living in a kiln for 3 years to make that business go? We're not looking for anybody to do anything special for us here. We're not afraid to work. But this is something we can't control. I'm a wood expert. I'm hired by people to speak. I've studied my craft, studied my trade. And what I've learned, it's a porous material. For anyone to mention to me that it's impossible for it to absorb what it's around, they would be foolish. I know too much. So that's my concern. I don't know what to do other than I have to run my business and I've got to harvest again. It's time. And I'll spend $20,000, $30,000 buying that logs and cutting those boards and seasoning them like we always do. That makes magic, and we have a great product. It's nationally recognized. How do I maintain our credibility? I don't know how I can do it if I choose to do this on time. And there is no other way to do it. It's a magic in the processing of wood used for cooperage and the products like others like me make that requires the wood to be seasoned outside. I can explain it if you want to be bored for 2 minutes, but I don't think I need to, right?
We trust you.
Yeah. So it's just the way it's always been done traditionally, and there is a magic to it. And I'm going to say real quickly, it's a microflora that actually eats the tannins in the wood, so that doesn't happen, and rainfall, so that doesn't happen in a shed or in a building. So that's my dilemma, and I just wanted to put my 2 cents worth in on this and see if maybe I can get you guys behind me just a little bit so we don't have to move our business. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Peter.
Work us all.
Anyone else from privilege of the floor?
Hi, I'm Jean Gilroy, 1872 Gravel Road, Seneca Falls, directly east of the landfill. I have a 110-acre farm that butts right up to Blackbrook Creek. I'm inundated with odors all the time, and I promised you last month that I wouldn't talk tonight. But two things happened in the month of November. Number one, and you may have read this in the paper for my letter to the editor, we all attended, many of us here attended the Board of Supervisors meeting held in Waterloo on November 12th. And we all spoke about the landfill. And when we went outside, we were all hit with the rotten egg smell of hydrogen sulfide. And I received from Seneca Metals my first report that said, yes, there was odor detected, because there was 15 of us who smelled it. And so they couldn't say it didn't happen. Number two, on November 27th, I personally had a house full of company. My husband went out the door at 9 in the morning and said, I smell the landfill. I was too busy to call the landfill, and I thought, well, let's have a little experiment here. Let's see what happens if I don't call the landfill. Will I still smell it? Well, yes, I did, because it finally stopped at 10:10 that night. 13 hours I smelled the landfill because I did not call and they did not change their direction of dumping or turn on the neutralizers. So you know that that's what they do, and that's why you get a report that says no odor reported, detected as well. So I thought I'd just mention that it was 13 hours that I was subjected to the odor of the landfill. And I know that it was 13 hours of orphan gases and particulates. Okay, that's all I have to say.
It is worse. I said even the people at the cemetery.
Valerie Stanlis, 2 Greenbelt Circle, Seneca Falls. I'd just like to quickly begin with, for those of you who have heard me before, maybe once or twice, just a little bit of humor that for the first time ever, Greg Lazaro and I agree on something at a meeting. So I've got to throw that out there. First of all, I stand here as a proud union member for almost 40 years. So I hope that I'm happy to hear that that's going to come to fruition. And I want to say, you know, go union. And I think they make our society better, and they've been supporting societies and workers since their inception. So anyway, go union. Yes. Secondly, as always, I'm here to ask you to deny the operating permit in January. You'll be sad to hear I won't be here, so I won't be able to attend the meeting personally. However, I'm asking that you deny the permit. As I was pulling out of my driveway today, on my way here, I had to pull over and have either my husband or daughter call the hotline because I could smell the dump in my driveway in my car, and as I was pulling down Rittmer Lane to get to the meeting here. Had I had a little bit more time, instead of pulling down Rittmer Lane after I smelled it, I would have turned around and driven a quarter of a mile down the street to Minders Academy, and I'm going to guess I probably would have smelled it at Minders Academy as well. And if I had had a little bit more time, I would have gone less than a mile and probably only a couple hundred yards as the crows fly to Frank Knight Elementary School. And I bet you, inside my car and probably outside of my car, I would have smelled it. just as badly as I smelled it Thanksgiving evening when between 8 and 8:15 p.m., I was escorting my 86 and 85-year-old parents to their car. Blessed to have them here with me for the past 3 years. Sad that now they are no longer able to smell fresh air since my husband and I moved them here. Did call the hotline on that one. And, I'm pretty diligent about this. I have just gotten tired. I don't call the hotline as much as I used to. I did actually smell it a few days ago when Jim and I left the wellness center after working out. I didn't have my phone with me then, liking to be unplugged when we work out, or I would have called. But again, the ironies of life. So there we are, exercising, trying to stay healthy, walk out of Kingsley's fine establishment, and what happens? Bam, landfill gas. So it's time for all of you to stop hiding your heads in the sand. Everybody knows it smells, and now we have data that you have actually been presented that it's harmful. It's not just an irritation. It's not just an annoyance. It is harmful. It's detrimental to all of us. And you know what? I'm going to sadly say that at my parents' age and my age, the damage is done. I'm not really going to worry about my personal health or my parents' personal health from the landfill at this point. However, I am going to still worry about the kids in Waterloo and Seneca Falls. And we need to, and if it smells at Waterloo Container, how about we take a drive from Waterloo Container to the high school, the elementary school, and the middle school in Waterloo? And then let's head east and drive to the Seneca Falls schools. And stop pretending that we are not poisoning children. And deny the operating permit this year, next year, and then we'll be done with it. Enough already. Thank you.
Anyone else with privilege to the floor? Go ahead, Dale.
Yeah, I'd like to speak. I can't quite get over there. I'm a little handicapped. Well, I'm Tom Hunt. I live on the windward side of that. I'm about 3 miles to the west. And I have lived, when I was growing up, I lived around a lot of farm dumps. That Seneca Meadows is pretty much got it all over there. At least it's controlled and monitored. I know where there's a lot of farm dumps that you guys don't want nothing to do with. So, but I do agree with the smell. Nobody has to smell that. We get it once in a while over where we are. Why don't we have Cornell involved into this, and scientists and everybody trying to find out what's in the air, what's going on, and go from there. Have the experts really on it. Not Seneca Meadows, not us, but somebody that's an expert to know, that has some machines to get in there and see what's going on before it's too late. But they do contribute to the economical, financial part of a lot of things. So, which lower taxes and different things for the poorer folks. I understand everybody don't need help with their taxes, but I use the landfill every week. I go in there sometimes. It is pretty rank. I've been on top of the hill, and it's a Siberian nightmare. The wind is atrocious up there. Now, I don't understand why Waterloo don't allow a windbreak on our side of that landfill. So maybe that would break the wind so you guys aren't catching so much wind down where you are to drive the smell down here. We can't have a landfill in Waterloo, but we can have a windbreak or something like that. That might help. So I'm kind of neutral between you guys and the landfill. We have to take our trash somewhere, but why are we taking so much from New York City and far away places? This is a gold mine here. We don't need to ruin it. And like that young lady said, the kids is what we really got to step forward to. We got to watch these kids. That's number one. So I'm friends with everybody. I'm Waterloo. You guys are Seneca Falls. We're neighbors. So, but we got to figure out how both sides are going to benefit, really. Because if we got to pay to have our trash hauled, who knows where, for who knows how much money, what's that going to all entail too. But I think it's up to Seneca Meadows to get with Cornell or some of the other people. And we got scientists. We're America. We're not a second-rate country. Why don't we have people out there that can really see what's going on and make the machines to deal with this? So that's my feeling. So, okay.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Okay. Hello? Hey, my name is Rick Swartz, and I'm an employee of the town of Seneca Falls. I work hard to ensure the community is able to have what it needs to function. I work up there at the dump there at our Seneca Falls, where they come in and I have to check everything.
Yep.
I got a good rapport with a lot of people. They had no idea. They tell me about the dump, it stinks, this and that. And I said, talk to you personally, you know. But as I care about the community, which is I stand here today, I am angry at the continued attacks on my union by my members of this board. This is a precise reason we are organizing our union, so that our voices can be heard and not ignored. Jeremy is my boss, believe it or not. He's a good guy. He means well. And all these guys, I talk to all of them. I don't see them Saturday and Sunday, that's a part-timer, but I see them. They work hard. So, all right, we understand the union and will not allow management to try to fracture our union. We will continue to stand firm in our position, and that all of us deserve to have all rights respected. This should have been settled a long time ago. I urge the community together and do the right thing by the recognizing of our union. I've been here for 30 years plus in Seneca Falls. People come and go and stuff like that. When I hired, I voted, was Lazaro. He didn't do too good, but maybe he can revamp himself. But it was a sad, you know, it was things like that. So I want the board to understand that I'm really committed to Seneca Falls. I love the people here. The people like me come there. I help them completely. And if I can do anything and everything, I will. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, board members, for hearing me. My name is Dale Gibson. I've worked for the town of Seneca Falls for a year and a half. I used to live here. I grew up here. My dad was part of the union at Gould. I know what it's like, as I'm sure you and you know. I like my job because it allows me to serve the community. I enjoy it. But many, like my co-workers, I do not feel this board supports us or provides us with the tools and the leadership as well. Targeting us for organizing our union, speaking out and seeking equal treatment is illegal. We had to file 2 improper practice charges against town officials for targeting union supporters. It's more important than ever that this board honors the resolution that was already passed and puts an end to all this harassment. And as far as with the one board member that you acknowledge that you are not going to allow, I'd like to ask Mr. Seneca, were you not with the chairman or the board members there with the county?
Did I work for the county?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
And at the time, the union was there as well, right?
There were 4 unions, yeah.
And I'm sure that they allow and it's on record, that they allowed zoning officers in the union.
There were no zoning officers in the town of Seneca, or in the county of Seneca. Okay. Only in the towns are there zoning officers. In the county, there are code enforcement officers that are all in the bargaining unit. And now that you brought it up, yes, there was a vote by the board, 3-2, to recognize CSEA, and they are recognized, okay? Once they are recognized, because we did not know the titles at the time that were going to be in the bargaining unit. And then after a time, we found out it was going to be a wall-to-wall bargaining unit. That means everybody that works or gets a paycheck for Seneca Falls. For a time, they even included the police department, which obviously...
I don't think that's accurate.
Obviously...
That's not
Hey,
accurate.
wait,
Obviously, in the first letter, it included the police department. That got straightened out, but it was still a wall-to-wall. So, just like at the county, if you look at the county contract, the CSEA contract, take a look at it, you'll see there's a recognition clause, and many titles are not in the bargaining unit. And as the supervisor said, there's only really one title in contention, or we'd be sitting down at the bargaining table right now hammering out a contract, okay? So there's one title stopping it, and there are 3 titles in the town clerk's office that we're fighting to keep out of the bargaining unit because the town clerk believes they are not to be in.
There's no fight.
So if you want to take those 3 titles, be my guest. I'm in favor of them being in the bargaining unit, by the way. That's my opinion. The only thing we're arguing about is the title of zoning officer for the town of Seneca, or we wouldn't even be here talking about it. It would be
Because why?
done and over with.
Because
But
why?
they have
Right.
senior officers, senior officers
But every,
that are
listen,
included
there are
in
many,
there.
there are many unions all over the state with CSEA representing hundreds of thousands of employees. I was in CSEA for 5 years as a driver at the county. Listen, I even was on the bargaining team for the last contract when I was there. So the thing is, every town is unique and every village is unique. In this town, the zoning officer is recognized as a department head, okay? And our feeling is that department heads shouldn't be in the bargaining unit, and that's where we differ. You believe it's not, but every municipality has a unique distinction for each position, okay? And in this case, the unique position we are taking is, he is a department, recognized. He goes to the department head meetings. He makes decisions on his budget, okay? He comes in front of the budget
He
committee.
presents a tentative budget.
He makes decisions on the budget. He recommended to abolish one of his employees. He supervises 2. So he's done things that are management oriented. Now listen, in the town government, the town board decides who's going to be terminated and who's going to be fired. And why is that?
Same thing.
Because under the town law, the town is the appointing authority. Okay, so we have to do that. That's our job. In the village, the mayor exclusively is the appointing authority. In the village, the mayor appoints everybody. Now, in the county, the board of supervisors, they create positions, and then the department heads are responsible for doing the hiring exclusively, and they do the firing too, except for mental health, because they have a community services board, and the community services board is directly responsible to the board of supervisors, and they do exclusively the hiring and firing for mental health. But other than that, all the department heads can do hiring and firing. So every government is different.
So, no. Okay.
Hold on.
No.
When he's done
Frank,
talking, you can
no,
talk.
Stop, because I am tired
done
of being
talking?
interjected, cut off constantly.
Let her talk, I don't care.
This is not gonna get, one person talks at a time. When they're done,
When
then
is
you
it ever
talk.
my turn, Frank?
When
I'm just curious.
Frank's done. When you say.
Oh, no, you already hushed me all the time anyways.
You
So,
can talk, I won't
thank you,
fight.
Frank, I do appreciate
Go
that.
ahead.
So, I'm having a hard time with the concept that, one, how much has Pat Morrell And what is it? Bond, Shonick, and King charged the town so far in proceedings with what we've been doing, with this whole debacle over the zoning. What have they charged?
I don't have an answer for
Pete, you got an answer?
I do not, ma'am, I'm sorry.
Why don't we have an answer?
Because I do not have that information present at the moment.
Pat, what have you billed the
Probably
town?
not much, because
Not
this
much?
has been handled by.
What about Collins? What does he
Bob,
bill?
Shonick, and King.
I'm sure that that's probably easily accessible. And what did you say, January 27th is before, by the time we have another meeting with her? Was that what you had said earlier? Or is that being
January 7th.
chipped out till later in, 2025?
That's because the
I
judge-
would like to make a motion that we just voluntarily recognize everybody to include zoning, because quite frankly, I think that they're gonna be included anyways. And I don't see that he has capacity, because he comes here and he presents a budget that we approve anyways. What about all the other department heads that you wanna classify as to really, running a department, but not necessarily having the different authority, I should say, than what he does, because quite frankly, I think that he's the same as everybody else. And it's costing the taxpayers ridiculous, an exorbitant amount of money for an outcome that I can already predict is gonna happen.
Caitlin, like I said,
It's a
we
waste.
agreed with.
But we want to spend $85,000
We've
on a public
agreed
works
with,
director. It's
CSA.
gonna save us money,
We-
right? We need an operator, not an engineer.
We've agreed with CSEA on every position they've asked for. We're only talking about one
Because you don't have an
item.
argument, Frank.
Yes, we
And it's
do.
just constantly just being,
Why don't we?
I'll use the term kick the can. There we go. We got accused of that
How
one
about
earlier.
gaslighting? Because
Listen,
I feel like that's what you're doing.
It
a
would
lot
have
of.
been settled, but the hearing officer for PERB decided to disqualify herself, and now it's been shipped from Syracuse to Buffalo. Or it would have been settled by now. That's the reason it's not settled. Check the record.
I know that that's why it hasn't been settled.
Oh, okay.
That was out of your control. Perfectly
So what do you
understandable.
want me to do?
But
PERB fired the.
I am not
And,
in agreement to continue to waste money on Colin Leonard and Von Shonick and King anymore, or PAT services anymore with the union. I'm done with it. Done.
Was that a motion that you made?
I would like to make a motion that we voluntarily recognize every department.
And every.
What do you mean, every department head is?
No, those who are that we recognize the union, the voluntarily recognize, I don't even have the resolution in front of me, but then we include the zoning officer as well.
We've agreed to every title they wanted, except for one.
And we are just stalling.
Yes, absolutely.
So I'm gonna
So
let
I make a
PERB
motion that
I'm gonna
we
let PERB
move
decide
forward.
what it is.
PERB is
Why
going to
not?
rule against you.
It's-
PERB is going to rule against you.
Well, that's okay then.
Okay.
Let them rule against us then.
How does-
gaslighting the whole
You're gaslighting. You are. Every time we come here, every month,
For me, it's a department head position. It's a department head.
You're splitting
Like I
hairs.
said, every municipality is different. In this municipality, that's a department head position.
should speak.
You've got your.
Amen.
Can I get a second to my motion? Don, second. All in favor of moving forward?
Me.
Aye.
No.
I abstain. I want to talk about more in executive session.
Okay, he abstains. What do you vote?
No.
No, it didn't pass.
You done, Dale? Anyone else for privilege of the floor? Come on up. Hey, there's someone behind you already.
Good evening. My name is Barb Reese. I'm a town of Seneca Falls resident, and I'm here on behalf of the Waste Management Advisory Committee. I'm just wanting to share some information about the curbside composting program that the town is hosting right now. The town was awarded a municipal food scraps recycling grant, and it's allowing for free curbside composting for town of Seneca Falls residents from now through September, the end of September 2025. And so this is an effort for us to try to reduce the waste that we send to the landfill. So we're encouraging our town residents to sign up for curbside composting. The way it works, you can go to the town website, and if you go to the town website and search for curbside composting, you're going to find the link to sign up. There'll be a Google form. You can put in your name and your address, and on Friday morning, the Growing Cycle, who's handling the program, will deliver a 3-gallon covered container to your home, and then every Friday morning, they will pick up your food waste for free. So this is a service. The town has brochures. I think we have some here in the town office. It's a free program, and so on Friday mornings, the food waste will get picked up and it gets delivered to the vermicomposting facility in the city of Geneva. And so I also want to make known that the Waste Management Advisory Committee is planning on having a composting workshop on Saturday, January 25th at the Seneca Falls Rec Center at 10 a.m. We're going to be promoting this program. We're also promoting backyard composting. We'll have some earth machines that you can compost in if you want to try learning how to compost. And we're hoping, I heard from Jeremy that maybe possibly the drop-off site might get opened back up again if we get it approved. So there are 3 different ways that you can handle your food waste and reduce what you send to the landfill. And so
I just have one question. Are we going to put a bin at the landfill too?
That is not in my plan right now, at the Waste Management Advisory Committee.
Can we bring that up for discussion within the waste management?
We can. We're meeting again in January.
Wonderful. I just think it would be wonderful as far as to, we're trying to keep the organics out of the landfill, right? So let's put a bin there. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hey, I would like to suggest, Barb, as a subscriber to the service, that it is remarkably easy. They are wonderful people to pick it up. They literally bring the bucket back up onto my porch. And for those of my friends that are in the audience that have discussed tonight wanting to reduce the footprint of the landfill, there's only one sure way to do that, and that is to produce less waste. And a very smart person that's in this room told me that one day, and he actually operates the landfill. So thank you, Greg Kyle. I mean, that is the ticket here. So I urge everybody to please go to the website. It's a very easy process, and it works really, really well, and you feel good about it.
How do we reduce the footprint of the landfill if we keep accepting things from
it's
Canada,
everywhere? It's a global problem. It is a global problem, but you've got local solutions. Like Pete Seeger said,
a little bit helps.
Ain't one big thing, it's a million little things. And I want to be one of those million little things.
I'm all for taking care of Seneca Falls, and so I'm going to do what I can, and I'm going to take care of my trash and the way I can. So thank you very much.
Anyone else for privilege?
Ian Spencer, President, CSEA Judiciary Local 334. I represent employees of the court system that work and live in this county, in this town. And I'm here on their behalf. I just want to say thank you to the members of the community, dedicated town employees, and the town board. An observation, a privilege, if I might. I noticed pretty much a common theme. We have 2 main issues in this town. It's the union and it's the dump. I've come to several months worth of these meetings. I've seen the same conversations over and over and over again. I've seen the can kicked down the road on both sides. And I'll be honest with you, I grew up in Central New York. I grew up in this area. I always regarded Seneca Falls, I didn't live here, but as that quaint town that embodied the movie that you're about to pay tribute to for the next 3 weeks. I come to these meetings, I watch the board members fight, argue, whatever you want. I watch you fight with community members in the audience. I watch blatant disrespect with disregard for law. which the country was founded on, which you were elected to uphold. I see broken promises by not following through with resolutions that are passed. I see broken laws in the form of union busting. I see a broken town board. Some have integrity, stood up to make a change. Saw it again tonight, stood up to make a change. Quite frankly, some continue to stand in the way. And I know your reasoning. I've spoken to you directly in this format before. Those titles were sent to you. Those titles are what they are, and they will be what they will be, and on to eternity. And from my service in public employment, from my service in a union capacity, I can tell you point blank, unless that title is policy making, unless that title creates the actual rules that the employees have to follow, they can be represented by a union. So why fight it? Why spend the money? I look at the people in this crowd, and it gets larger and larger each time I come in here, and more supportive of a union for your workers who have asked you to recognize them. You continue to fail to do that. And honestly, I think very soon you will see signs that it's the not so wonderful life in Seneca Falls. And it's sad, because you're going to have the community, you're going to have the press, you're going to have tens of thousands of people in this town in the next 3 weeks. And they deserve to appreciate what they think Seneca Falls is. That's all I have. Thank you.
My name is Lisa Utterbeck. I am the president of my local in Weedsport, New York. Last name is spelled Utterback. I would like to agree with my brother. He spoke very eloquently. He said everything that I was going to say. I look forward to coming here every month to see what kind of a show this is going to be. Okay, I look forward to coming next month, and I'll be here with my brothers and sisters to picket, to rally, to do whatever we need to do to get the union in here. Okay, and if you look back at your ancestry, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, I'm sure that they were all in unions. Okay, because that's what this country was founded on, solidarity, and you're dividing. Okay, and we're a lot stronger when we're pushed.
Shannon Ball, Seneca Falls. One thing actually Kyle suggested I took a drive to see Kyle, speak to him about what I'm going to read tonight. I come on a small matter of a little dog, so it shouldn't be that divisive. But I was out of order last time, speaking out of turn. My apologies for that. I didn't know the process of the politics, but I do know how to write. I am a writer, and so I did write a piece about what had happened. And my editor chose to call it "It's a Wonderful Lie," but this is what I wrote. Call me a December 2010 failure. That was when my lifeless body was retrieved from a muddy riverbank, and a California Good Samaritan saved my life. But as fate would have it, the hospital had a therapist for me, who upon our first meeting not only held out the cover of Time magazine depicting soldiers with shelter dogs in Toronto, Jillian Wilbur herself had too, one named Enzo and Charlie, sitting on the wings of her chicken when I entered therapy for my failure. And statistics on trauma, dogs, survivals, and my rights to an APA certified service animal. That's how I lived for the last 13 odd years. Sadly, even if you're lucky enough to get a great therapist and diagnosed with the disability of PTSD, complex PTSD isn't yet recognized in the DSM as a disability. I suspect it will be many years before the NIH, the National Institute of Health, links narcissistic abuse to causation. Personally, was I shocked May 6, 2018, when I learned in California my 21-year-old nephew succeeded at suicide in Boulder, Colorado, and became another statistic? No. Life experience, the eldest daughter of a narcissist, in 20 years of therapy helps me make connections to certain personality disorders and suicide rates. For now, the NIH stats just use the word epidemic data, which shows suicide is the second leading cause of death among individuals of 10, 14, 25 to 34, and the third leading between the ages of 15 and 30. 6 years later, in Seneca Falls, New York, was I aghast, amazed, appalled, astonished, and dismayed? Yes. Where but Seneca Falls, New York, would someone try to make a life statement after the suicide of a nephew? It's lore that Frank Capra based a movie on this town. Whether that's fact or fiction, I don't know. But there really is a sign which reads, the real Bedford Falls. There's an annual It's a Wonderful Life festival. So I thought I found a place I belonged, November 2018, that I left the ignorance of the West behind. Try to walk into your first and only political meeting November 5th, 2024. Not to bring up any big political matter, just a small matter of a little station house dog that disappeared because board members don't read nor follow the American with Disabilities Act, nor apparently statistics about the positive power of dogs at police stations. I have prepared my statistics. Firstly, law enforcement is 54% more likely than the general public to die by suicide. And that officers who do report for disability are 7 to 19% already suffering from PTSD. And some stats say 66. I had wanted to point out that personally I was sexually assaulted 169 times between the ages of 3 to 12. And that connection to suicidal ideation and sex abuse is high. And that if police stations are treating victims, particularly children, of sex abuse, then what can make them feel safer than a small dog? Like a dog, I was ordered to sit in New York. I know my rights aren't statewide, they are federal. And under the ADA Title II, 1993, I will do it. Something that everyone with a disability should do. They feel they are being discriminated against, file a complaint. Sadly, little dogs have no voices. And town supervisors who abuse power, they will start with things they believe to be weak, and seeing as dogs can't speak. Then, those who have been surfaced by these little magic creatures of life are being deprived of the comfort they deserve at a police station when a dedicated trauma dog whom is entitled to be there. We owe it to those who have no voice to be the voice. We owe it to ourselves to educate public officials who feel entitled to violate our federal rights, to remind them that people with disabilities aren't weak. We are differently able. And as one of those people, I am going to be the person who makes a report to the federal government, Department of Justice on Pennsylvania Avenue, Washington, D.C., the state of New York, and the town that has branded itself It's a Wonderful Life. But when you violate our rights, that's not wonderful. And for anyone else that feels the same, use your disability to educate those towns, those states, those villages, that our wheelchairs are invisible, but we are not, and that dogs at police stations, they are a service. And citizens with disabilities shouldn't have to remind a supervisor of a town who worked in law enforcement the chief of police shouldn't be punished, nor should his dog be bound for ignorance. I'm going to say that as a writer, I decided that my editors that made a suggestion to be not to file a complaint, to just directly take it to the board and ask that Tucker be allowed to be back in the station. And being that December 6th, William Gabriel Willis no longer exists. He would have been 28 were he allowed maybe to live in this town. So I thought, you know what? We need good press. We need something that unites us. We've all been fighting amongst ourselves. So can we just agree on the little dog? So I also know how to write press releases. And in case you do want to reverse this decision and put Tucker back into service, I wrote a press release, and I'm happy to use my YouTube platform, which I do have 2 million views on, to make a positive statement about what this town is really about. I would love to write that. I would love to release this press release for immediate release. Seneca Falls Police Department gives a real life. It's a wonderful life Christmas gift of hope for the designated station house trauma drive, bringing victims that real reason for hope. In a town with a sign which reads the real Bedford Falls, it's a wonderful life. What could be bigger gift than Frank Capra's classic movie? He focused on suicide. Let's use a 10-pound, 2-year-old Boston Terrier named Tucker, who belongs to the chief, to inhabit his days of service to those victims who will enter that station to report incidents involving everything from domestic violence, sexual assault, to soothe their pain. In so doing, the town will bring awareness to suicide prevention, which is befitting of Frank Capra's classic movie, which he used his time visiting this town to write a movie that became classic. It's a wonderful life, which poses a question to all of us. What would the world be without us? Sadly, trauma, bullying, alcoholism, drug addiction, they all lead to suicide. And if a little dog in a station can lessen that pain, then it's a 2-for-1. Statistics also show that law enforcement is 54% more likely than the general population to die by suicide, having a dog to pet for comfort. For the frontline workers who are of service, make Tucker's presence in the building a comfort to victims and those who serve them. For more information on programs offered by the SFPD on drug prevention and alcohol prevention and treatment options, call Seneca Falls Police Department. Let's see January 1st, which is the singular highest day for suicide. Not be the worst day. Let's make it a George Bailey Day for celebrating life. And let's make the police department be the heroes of this story and be at their highest place. And I would just ask that there be a motion just to please bring back Tucker, because when I go in and I bothered the police so many times and they treated me with nothing but kindness, and my nephew didn't count much of that in his life, a very short life. And we can make a really, positive impression at a time when there's a festival running through celebrating a classic movie. And I wanted to propose that. It's a small ask. It's a small ask.
Anyone else for privilege of the floor?
Hi, my name is Lenny Marr, here to represent the CSEA. I've been a resident my whole life of Seneca County. I work in Cuba County. I was vice president for 5 years and president for 10. Currently president. I'm here to stand and support these people, and I'll be here till the end. I just have a couple of questions for Jackson. You abstained You know what the right decision is. You are pro-union. You don't like drama. So why not take the path and be the one to change everything?
So I'd like to talk about it with everyone in executive session as well.
Okay. You know, I don't understand what the big fight is. I've been to hundreds of board meetings. I've never seen anything like this, ever. It's crazy. You know, we work with administration every day to work through problems that you're creating before you even have it. I don't get it, but we're gonna be here. We're not going anywhere.
I'm Chantalise DeMarco. I'm the Region 5 Executive Vice President for CSEA 20 counties of about 40,000 members. I just want to observe, I guess with my brother Ian, and urge you to reconsider the Councilwoman's motion. It seems like there is the kicking the can down the road is a great analogy and a waste of taxpayer money that we are not going anywhere. We are united behind all of these titles, and we're not going anywhere. We have resources that you do not have. So I urge you to reconsider that. You don't even need to have that meeting on January 7th if you reconsider her motion and vote on including all of those titles tonight.
I just have one thing. Can you spell your first and last name?
Sure, it's C-H-A-N as in Nancy.
C-H-A-N.
T-A-L-I-S as in Sam, DeMarco, D-E, capital M-A-R-C-O.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, privilege of the floor is closed. Need a motion for the approval of minutes from the October 17th, from the budget meeting and November 5th board meeting. Have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Communications except 1 through 8. Have
I'll make
motion?
a motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor except them?
Aye.
Okay, we have 2 special events. First one will be the ball drop on, from Goulds on New Year's Eve.
I'll make a motion that we approve it.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We got a second special print, Seneca Falls Rotary Club. We want to put out flags at the park like they did last year down at the
Make a motion.
veterans.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Supervisor, I'd like to add that the 5K for the It's a Wonderful Life audit paper came in. I'm not sure if I emailed to you or not, but we just got it the other day for the permit from the DOT and everything. So everything is all set for that with insurance. And there you go.
So we'll do a motion now to accept the commit for the 5K race.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. An old business, first I got Board of Committee Fridays. So I want to congratulate Sergeant Eric McLean and Sergeant Andrew Hooker. They both completed the police supervising course, so now they got their certification to be sergeants for the Seneca Falls PD. So congratulations to both of them. What I want to talk about now is this December is a big month for Seneca Falls, okay? So if you guys can go down and support the town and go down to the businesses, and the Wonderful Life is Thursday, December 12th through the 15th, the weekend. There's a lot going on downtown. December 14th is the race. So the board, we can support the businesses and help the people that are neighbors and friends. That's a good thing to do. So now we go on to old business. We have a resolution here to schedule service agreement with Train.
I'm going to make a motion that we table that until next month while we continue to gather the estimates from the other vendors.
Second. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
So carried. On a new business, a resolution for decorated streetlight posts.
Make a motion. Second, but I do have a question. I thought we were gonna reuse the ones from.
Yeah, we got 21 from down there. Well, I guess almost the whole town, these new poles. So we're gonna buy them, and actually, we're gonna look into, I mentioned to Jeremy the other day, we're gonna look into putting some kind of spray on the bottom so the salt stops eating them. There's gotta be some sealant to put to protect them. So, and Frank's brother does that for them, so I'll be reaching out to him to find out what we can use to protect them so we're not repurchasing them again.
And one thing, Jeremy, are we gonna get the poles with the steel posts up in it? No? No.
Those are broadcast.
They rock past it? Okay, all right.
Steel will rock that.
All right, okay.
So are we not gonna have codes left over to do Kenmore?
We'll have extra poles.
We will?
We'll have.
Thank you.
Okay, it's all in favor of purchasing them?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Got a resolution here to purchase some garbage totes, 180 totes.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
My only question is, if they've been broken by Cardinal, why aren't they replacing them?
Well, these ones, Jeremy tells me that,
A lot of the ones that are getting broken right now are the ones that are old, like real old. The new ones that we have that we've been purchasing and using are lifetime guaranteed. So if those would be broken, actually cost to replace the ones that we're purchasing right now. And to be honest, in the past year, I think it's like two brand new ones broken.
Okay.
Everything else is just old without cans. So we've been running new ones now for like 4 years. And in 4 years, we really haven't had many of those breaks.
I just know we've had a lot of complaints in the past about Cardinal and how they handle the garbage. Okay.
Are we gonna be charging residents for these new totes?
We always have. If you purchase it, well, if one gets broken, no, we don't charge.
Okay.
If you want an extra one at your home, yes, I think we charge $50 for it.
For an extra or for the initial?
55 for a large one, and then if the other one is 35 or 45, I can't remember, it's significantly smaller. For an extra
If you have one right now and you want a second one, we purchase you.
so the first one's free.
First one is free to everyone.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. All right, so we have a resolution here to purchase a roll. We should probably do that after we do the transfer resolution.
The transfer first?
Yeah, so we have a resolution here to transfer funds. I'm gonna make an amendment to that transfer funds come out of the highway reserve instead of out of the A fund, which they originally was. There's $340,726 in the reserve fund for the highway. We can transfer that out of there.
Is that money in there due to our power trucks that we're waiting for them? If so, they will be here in like 2 months, we have 2 coming back.
The money, so, and I apologize, I'm having a difficult time speaking as you can hear. This resolution was created sometime today, this afternoon, and I'm having a very difficult time as the fiscal manager trying to follow how the money's flowing from account to account. For the board's purposes, what I strongly recommend is, for 2 reasons, that the money come out of the reserve fund, A, because then you do not have to do any sort of tax levy or budget amendment. The money's there, it's a reserve fund, it's designed to purchase trucks. I'm not sure how that fund was chosen to transfer money from, but that money was put in that budget line exclusively for the purpose of funding the match for the sidewalk project, the safe walk approach to school, and excuse me, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I thought there was a different line for that.
No. Thank you. And we really need to make sure that we don't, as we discussed during the budget meetings, that if we can get everything under contract this year for that project, then we do not have to tax people next year for it. If we spend the money this year, we're gonna have to raise the tax levy or figure out where to get the money from.
the project this year because they won't approve it.
I didn't.
My question for the A fund, aren't there sections or budget lines within the A fund that are delegated for highway? And that it was my understanding we needed to use the A fund for the use of the chips, like that's where the money
The
has
CHIPS
to come.
money's in the DA fund.
The DA
And even, so, but that's a good question, because frankly, if we can use the CHIPS money to purchase the truck, I'm not sure why we're not using the CHIPS money.
We are using the CHIPS money.
But we're not, because that,
We have to pay for it up front and they reimburse us. We have to pay for our paving up front
we
and
do
they
not,
reimburse us.
for my board members, we do not have to do a budget transfer to pay for money that's coming from CHIPS. We can spend the money out of the DA funds reserves and get reimbursed for it. There's no need for a budget transfer.
Okay, so my question is, if we're requesting $288,678, and it's just coincidental that the truck is costing $148,678, which is highly unusual for all those numbers to line up. But anyway, that leaves a $140,000 difference, and I'm wondering what that $140,000 is
The rest of the money is going towards the paving of roads that we did this year, the millings, the striping of roads, the paving, the painting of crosswalks. It's money that is not in that fund that needs to be transferred forward because we spent $240,000 out of it that was not allocated to the fire department spot that you guys gave me earlier in the season to do the slip form gutters in the housing project. So I had to transfer money into there to continue to pay my bill up front for CHIPS to reimburse us. You will get the money back.
So we spent money that wasn't authorized in the budget? Is that $140,000 is spent that wasn't authorized by anybody?
No,
Yeah.
you authorized
What did we
it.
spend
So
it on?
there, in the A fund is the, can you pull that up again? In the A fund is the sidewalk tag grant, is that what it was? Yeah, the school, yeah.
The school one? What is one?
All right, well, while you do that, I'm going to complicate things a bit further. When you're dealing with the reserve fund, what the money is being used for is very relevant, very important here. If it's a reserve fund set up for equipment, it needs to be used for equipment. And then if there was not a permissive referendum upon creation of the fund, then there would need to be a permissive referendum taking money out of the fund. So, for instance, if you wanted to use this specifically for the truck, you would take the amount for the truck, do a resolution, advertise it, and say, if anybody wants to contest this, you have 30 days in which to submit a petition, in which case, if you do, then it goes to a referendum. Short of that, you can't just take money out of the reserve fund. And if it's an equipment reserve fund, taking it out for construction materials is not allowable. It's not what it's for.
It's for the truck.
Well, part of it's for a truck, but 140
Oh,
was
I'm not
for...
suggesting that they take, I'm suggesting they pay for the truck.
To just pay for the truck? Well, okay. And well,
The rest of
that
it-
would be
the rest of it
allowable.
should happen during
The
the
resolution
normal-
would be,
Right.
have to be advertised and subject to a 30-day referendum period, and before the money could be
This one
released
safe routes?
and used.
All right, so I'm gonna have an amendment here that we take from the reserve fund, budget, that's where we pay for the truck, the roll, $148,678 come out of the reserve fund. And that's it. The rest we'll have to discuss it another meeting. That's your money, that other 140,000.
But do we have to do money of it this year? Keith,
I'm sorry.
do we have to do the other portion this year
Which-
as far as the transfer of funds
Yeah,
to get things?
so that wouldn't happen normally this month anyways during the closing process when we figure out which accounts are overdrawn. Then, you know, at that last business meeting we have every year when you
Yeah.
get that list of, you gotta move all this money out,
Yeah.
that's when we would sort of do that stuff. You know, and sort of.
So we'll do it at the end of the month, is what you're.
Yeah, or we can even do it in January. I mean, it's not, you know, there's no magic. December 31st.
My biggest concern is that as long as we proceed with the roll-up trucks,
Right.
get everything
Right.
moving forward for the transfer station,
Yeah.
I think is most critical at this. Jeremy, is there urgency on the other matters at this time?
It's gonna take us longer to build a state to get our money back for everything else that we spent this year. And $148,000.
Well, it shouldn't.
In fact, almost $700,000.
So would you be, as far as being able to come back to that at the end of the month when we do the?
Yeah, we can do it at the end of the month.
Okay, I just want to proceed with the roll-up truck as long as we can get it done. So we can get that done, and because there's one already in New Jersey, you had said?
And how long will it take us to get it? How long will it take us to get it?
The reimbursement?
No,
No, the truck.
If you guys agree, say, I will set it up to rewrite from Jersey, just week or next week, we'll pick it up. I just gotta figure out where to get license.
And then we can get the transfer station back up and
Drive
rolling?
out there, it's a 5-hour drive, we'll drive out there and pick it up.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I got an amended resolution to purchase a roll-off truck from the DA Highway Reserve.
I still have questions, I still don't understand.
We're not only transferring enough to buy the truck, the other $140,000. We're not gonna transfer.
We're gonna transfer enough to buy the truck. Okay, then are we?
You're not, no, wait. We're not transferring money to buy the truck. We're purchasing the truck, just to make sure everybody, we're using the right language. We're purchasing the truck with money in the DA reserve fund.
Okay.
Now, Pete, are we sure that money is not, the other two trucks are gonna be showing up here anytime to plow trucks?
So there's not anywhere near enough money in that fund for those trucks. So
I don't know, that's why I'm asking.
we can put money, and we're gonna have to do it again from the 2022 budget specifically for that. And I have the documentation for that. So we, again, so we don't have to tax it. Money is sitting there.
So anyway,
That's
we're gonna transfer $148,678.
We're not transferring, we're just
No,
using
sorry,
reserve, highway reserve money to buy the
Use the
truck.
highway reserve money.
Right.
You're not gonna use the CHIPS money.
Well, the chips will give the money back.
Well, okay, so this is the other interesting, but once we close out the budgets, you know, we were awarded $590,000-ish worth of CHIPS money, so I'm not sure how we spent 700. Okay, if we have, okay. But if we have any of that left over, even if we spend it out of the reserve fund, we can still get money from the CHIPS fund to put the money back. But we just shouldn't. It's difficult for me with the amount of time that we've had to process the transaction to be sure that we are doing things in the best interest, in the best fiduciary interest of the town. That's what I'm concerned with. And I'm trying to sort of.
Well, I'm gonna trust that, you know, that's the best decision and you're familiar with budget lines, so.
I mean, we still technically do a transfer right now.
No, we're not a transfer, we're just buying it out of reserve. Okay, so here's the motion, please. I'm making a motion that we purchase a roll-off truck out of the highway reserve fund for the price of $148,678.
I'll second.
Okay, we have discussion?
Well, did we get someone first? I didn't get it first.
I'll first.
All right.
Second.
Okay, now,
So, for me, international, before I got on this board, that board before me purchased a truck, an international truck. We still haven't received it yet. And when I was on this board the first year, authorized to buy another international truck. We still haven't got it yet, okay? When I was on the highway committee, I called International a number of times. The salesman told me they make a truck every 15 seconds, but I didn't believe it. But anyway, that's what he told me. So we still haven't received the truck. So this is an international, so whether it's international, it's one corporation, I'm not gonna support it. If Jeremy wants to buy a Volvo, and Isuzu, a Ford, a Chevy, that's fine with me. But International has probably made our truck 10 or 15 times and sold it to somebody else, because we've got it locked in at pre-COVID prices, okay? Which we're getting a fantastic buy on these two trucks, okay? So we never get our truck. I don't want to cancel the order. If it takes another year to get the truck, we're getting a fantastic price on the trucks. But I just don't support International, okay? I support the truck for the transfer station, but not buying International. So I'll just be either abstaining or voting no when the vote comes, because I don't want to do business with that company that's really giving us a bad time. It shouldn't take over 3 years to build a truck. Come on. So that's my point with them. Is I want the truck, who needs it, but I'm not going to support an International.
All right, so now we're gonna vote. Who wants to purchase the truck?
Aye.
Okay.
Opposed?
One opposed, so 4 to 1. Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna cancel that resolution for transfer of funds. All right, we got a resolution here to purchase pump for the water treatment plant. It's a budgeted item.
Make a motion. I'll second.
Discussion. All in favor of purchasing?
Aye.
Okay, we gotta wait a second for, why should you do that, Pat? Is there something we can do legally against this International for not making these trucks for us? I mean, is there?
I can take a look at what our order paperwork and see if we have any, what time limits and remedies and whatnot. But yeah.
You would do that, I would appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Back on track. Back on track.
All right, so we move the purchase of pump, are you good?
Good.
All right, I have a resolution here to purchase variable frequency drives. It's a budget item for the water department.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
So carried. I have a resolution here to release the funds for $7,000. It's a Wonderful Life.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Got a motion to authorize purchase of wastewater treatment plant chemical storage tank.
Make a motion.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
So carried. Got a motion here to appoint the Director of Public Works. We put out an application. We have one person apply.
I make a motion, we appoint a Director of Public Works. Second.
Second, any discussion?
I feel that we are not going down the right path. I think that the 4-year degree resulted in quite a few more than qualified individuals to be able to apply for this position. I also feel that we don't need an engineer. I think we need more the person as far as that's an operator that can do the hands-on training. And I also don't feel that the 2 individuals that you did speak with have the experience necessary to do the training as a whole, and I don't think that it's fiscally responsible of us to proceed in that direction. I would rather see somebody more so with an operator experience, especially at the salary of an $85,000.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you about the engineer, because an engineer will pay for himself in a very short time.
I thought he can't sign off blueprints.
Doesn't matter if he can't sign blueprints. He can still go and be our oversee jobs for us. And just dealing with all the engineers that we deal with, someone that knows the language.
So wouldn't we want somebody that
Can run the equipment, help.
I could pay someone a lot less to run the equipment. I need someone to organize, manage, and help with projects. That's what we need. There's someone to oversee the town.
But I'm sure that there are a number of applicants that
There's not. We
would
have
be,
one applicant.
no, not without the 4-year degree. But as far as the operator and supervisory capacity skills to being able to do what I think
Like
you're
I
also
said,
intending and
in the day-to-day
wanting.
stuff here, we do need an engineer.
But we contract with companies that are
Right, we can
engineers.
eliminate a lot of that with having our own engineer. So we have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
So carried, 3-2. I need a motion to levy delinquent water sewer bills on the county tax bill as per listing of November 25th, 2020. So we're gonna levy people that haven't paid their water bills onto the county tax bill.
Oh, yeah, I'm in favor of that, sure.
Second,
Second.
discussion. All in favor?
How many people are,
We
I don't have any.
Around 312, Tommy, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I have the list here.
I think it's in that neighborhood.
It's a lot.
I didn't realize we could levy it.
It was they put it on the tax bill, that's why we did the other one where.
Well, the county, because you said it's for the county, right?
The county collects it for us.
And then we'll give it back
Yeah, they pay.
to us.
This is not new.
Yeah.
We haven't done
Yeah.
that.
Okay, at this point, I'm gonna make any,
I have one more indulgence of the
I
board.
didn't get any motion, I didn't get a second, I didn't get anything.
okay, well, first, second there, and then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yeah, you did it. Oh, you did it for a second, right? Go ahead.
So, for the WIA grant, we did a request for qualifications in August, and we have to submit the winner of that to the EFC so that we can get our money for the end of the year. And I apologize, dealing with my own illnesses and family issues that made it hard for me to be at work this week. But Barton and Juice was the company that we had a committee that sort of went through all the proposals and said, this is that large $25 million project we had got. The committee, which was comprised of water and the sewer people and townspeople that had expertise in this subject, went through the two proposals and thought that Barton and Judas was the company of choice. So I'm asking the board's indulgence to please someone make a motion to approve that and pass this resolution. It's pretty low risk.
Can I make a motion that the town of Seneca Falls?
There's no money involved.
No, qualifications for engineering firm for the water system improvement project. Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So carried.
Thank you. No, that's just the, yeah. There's no money involved here.
Can I have a motion to pay the bills?
I'll make a motion.
Second. Discussion. All in favor of paying the bills?
Aye.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to make a motion that we go to executive session to discuss and limit to the following topics. Discussions related to proposed pending or recurrent litigation. Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Discussion. I'm inviting the entire town board, town manager, if he so chooses, and the town attorney. Thank you for coming tonight. Appreciate everyone's input.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Damn it.